Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Media Files. What can I say? It's been a scorching 2 days. It's not been fun. Been absolutely horrid, too damn hot, and, well, I'm already sick and tired of it. So for this update, we haven't really done much as far as the realm of fantasy in a while. We actually have here several fantasy-based things that we're going to show off, including some Blu-rays, some DVDs, as well as some books and other stuff. So we got quite a lot to go through, and just got quite a bit of stuff to show off. So let's not waste any time. Let's see what we got right here in the Media Files. Okay, welcome back. So we've got some DVDs, some Blu-rays, as well as several books and a few other little pretty cool things. So first off, let's get the Harryhausen stuff out of the way because it's right here in front of me. So these are some editions that I've been wanting from my collection. Now, one of them I really wanted on Blu-ray. Found the DVD at Goodwill. It's a decent, substitute for right now until I find the Blu-ray, because I really want to get the Blu-ray of this. But hey, maybe one day I will find it, but for now this will suffice me. So the DVD we have here is from the Ray Harryhausen Signature Collection. We've got here the original Jason and the Argonauts. Yes. Just has a interview with Ray Harryhausen by John Landis. But this is the movie that has the infamous skeleton fight. Now, I know that this has been definitely upgraded and whatnot, and I really would love to upgrade it, but, hey, for like $1 that I found it at, I'm not really going to complain that much. So, that'll suffice me for now until I can find a better edition. But speaking of Blu-rays, I found this on Blu-ray, and this is totally cool because, well, high def is really the only way you want to do when you're watching Harryhausen, am I right? So we have here the 50th anniversary edition of The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Yeah. Now, I know both of these movies, they're more mythology based, but you know what? I put them in the fantasy section because, well, hey, it's mythological fantasies. There you go. But this thing is absolutely loaded with extras. So we have audio commentary with Ray Harryhausen, visual effects expert Phil Tippett, and Randall William Cook, author Stephen Smith, and Arnold Kunert. Then we have Remembering the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Harryhausen Legacy, the music of Bernard Herrmann, a photo gallery, Sinbad May have been bad, but he's good to me music video, A Look Behind the Voyage. This is Dynamation special effects featurette, and Ray Harryhausen interviewed by director John Landis. So I wonder if John Landis did like a big interview with him, and they're separating each subject into its own interview. So yeah, that sounds cool. I'll have to give these a watch, considering I've never actually watched a whole lot of these, but it'll be fun to sit down and watch them. Okay, so I mentioned that I have some C.S. Lewis, right? Yes, so I do actually have the Narnia films, at least the 3 that have been made. I love the first one. The extended cut is even better. Very hard to find now. I'm glad I still bought it when I did, because I was kind of hoping that that's what, Multimedia was going to do with the Narnia series, have a theatrical version and then have a uber deluxe extended edition, kind of like what they did with Lord of the Rings. I'm like, sweet. But then, of course, there was Prince Caspian, which they didn't do. And then there's The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which sadly, that's the only one I have not watched. I have seen Prince Caspian. I love the first two. Like I said, the third one I've not even watched yet. But I had no idea that these were actually made before the Liam Neeson Talking Lion edition. So I actually managed to find here in the original box set the original BBC edition of the Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah, how cool is this? So this actually is a 3-disc set. So, of course, disc 1, of course, is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Prince 2 is Prince Caspian and the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And then disc 3 is The Silver Chair. So we literally have 4 feature-length films. We have Trivia Games for Kids, an excerpt on C.S. Lewis from Bookworm, a BBC television literary magazine, a recipe for Turkish delight, still galleries, a printed insert featuring C.S. Lewis biography and Narnia facts. This is pretty cool. The funny thing is, I've never actually seen any of these, but I wonder if Andrew Adamson was a little bit inspired by this, because obviously that shot there on the back of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, doesn't that look a little familiar to you? Yeah. I wonder if he had seen these editions and, hey, it's like, hey, I really want to do my take on it. And, but these actually run for almost 3 hours. So it looks like they combined the Prince Caspian and Dawn Treader together. Now, I don't know if there are both movies are like that, but we will see. And then The Silver Chair is like 2.5. So they're all roughly about 170 minutes apiece. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, I've never actually seen the BBC versions, so it'll be interesting to see what these are like. So when did these come out? Okay, so these came out in the 80s. So I was just a wee little boy at that age. Didn't even know how to read yet. So it's pretty cool that I found the original box too. So how awesome is that? Alrighty, well, speaking of C.S. Lewis, he had a friend. His name was Tolkien. If it wasn't for Tolkien, we probably wouldn't have C.S. Lewis either. So, we've got here, I have them on DVD, but I was like, you know what? I want the extended editions in high definition. Yeah, this is it, folks. This is the edition you want to get. Even though it's Blu-ray, I really don't care. I mean, I hear the 4Ks are kind of meh anyway, but what's great about these is that all of those extended editions that came out with the DVDs everything is in here, including the Costas Bowles documentaries as well, which is really, really cool. Because originally, those, the Costas Bowles documentaries, those were originally released in the 2-disc limited edition versions of the Lord of the Rings series, which those are the ones that are on the god-awful flipper discs. So yeah, which is pretty cool. So, but the good thing is that, it's exactly the same as the DVDs. Now, I will say the movie is just in Blu-ray, but the appendices, all of those are on DVD. And then, of course, you get the 5th disc, which is the Costas Bowles Botas behind-the-scenes documentary. Kind of like a fly-on-the-wall type of thing, which is pretty cool. Of course, 2 towers there, which is, I mean, I love all 3 of them, which is great. What can I say? I mean, you just gotta love the artwork that was done with this, and good thing is, we are currently, well, not me, but the filmmakers of the latest film in the franchise, The Hunt for Gollum, right now has just begun shooting. So we have, Mr. Andy Serkis at the helm of directing. Of course, starring as everybody's favorite, helpless taco character who loves the process, right? So yeah. Gotta love the fun duality of Gollum. So, although it sucks that Vigo won't be back as Aragorn, but we will see how things go. So, so then, speaking of Lord of the Rings, we actually have here's as of right now, this is the until the Hunt for Gollum came out, the most fairly recent film project that they did is entitled War of the Rohirrim, which is an anime. Yeah, I was like, that's kind of interesting. Lord of the Rings anime, and some people bash it just because it was an anime and like purists, and I'm like, it's Lord of the Rings. I mean, come on. All we've had is just the movies and it's just the Hobbit trilogy and this. We have stories that have never been adapted, and this is the first time they've ever adapted a different story. Yes, they've created a character for the that's not in it, but they did the same thing with The Hobbit. But I love the fact that this is about the Battle of Helm's Deep, way before, way before that they had the final battle of Helm's Deep and the Two Towers, before Theoden and everybody else found it. But this is pretty cool to actually sit down and watch this for the first time. I've never seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to actually seeing what who directed this, what Kenji Kamiyama's take will be like on Middle Earth. So yeah, looks like it'll be a lot of fun. And speaking of animated films, if you are a fan of films like Fire and Ice, for example, then you owe yourself to actually get this. This looked like such a cool title, and just the the artwork alone just sold me. But here we have The Spine of Night. Yeah, this is like a throwback to the really awesome films of the 80s, like Fire and Ice, for example, like I said, as well as what else? Like also like heavy metal, that type of rotoscoped type of filmmaking. But this just looks so cool, and I'm like, dude, I have to get this, especially because I love Fire and Ice, and I really want to upgrade my copy of it at some point. So we have some bonus content on here. I didn't even read the War of the Rohirrim. Lord of the Rings, that's its own thing. There's way too much. Just look it up. So for War of the Rohirrim, we have Return to Helm's Deep, History Becomes Legend. Let's hear Middle Earth and Anime, a marriage of creativity. Hera, a new hero for Middle Earth. So there's that. And then for Spine of Night, we have commentary with writer-directors Philip Gillette, or it could be pronounced Philippe Gillette, I don't know. And Morgan Galen King. I'm going to say Philip Gillette. So we have the making of documentary, deleted scene. We have some short films, including Exordium Mongrel, the prelude to the Wrath of the Ape, King, and Rat Bastards. Okay, interesting. So here, a trailer and a booklet with a new writing by comic book writer Joshua Dysart. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Have to definitely check that one out because apparently it's not for kids. Yes. Alrighty, so speaking of books and stuff, so we've got some pretty cool things here. Let me move these out of the way first. Different update. They're just sitting on top. So, I've been a fan of, some of fantasy books and stuff like that as a kid, obviously. Lord of the Rings being one of the first fantasy-based books I ever read. I read that, I think, in middle school, I think, because my mom still had her copies, and she let me borrow them, but I had to put them back up in her chest when I was done with them. I'm like, okay. But eventually, I got my own copy, which is I have the all-in-one print edition. But then, so many years later, after the Lord of the Rings films came out, we had, Amazon got their hands on the Wheel of Time series. And, I really have enjoyed it quite a bit. I know people are kind of iffy on it and stuff like that, especially with it being the fact that it's a TV series and it could have done, the books justice and stuff like that. But I've been on the hunt, actually, to try to find all of the books with the original artwork, and I have most of them, and I managed to find a couple of them that I did not have, which means I only need 2 more, and then I will have all 15 books with the original cover art. Because my one copy of it is that newer, slightly taller book, and I'm like, I want them all to be consistent. That way, you have what they were thinking back then when they originally were releasing it. So, first book we have here, this is actually book number 3. We've got The Dragon Reborn. Yeah, so, I love how detailed all these books are and stuff like that. It's a lot to take in, and I know it's going to take a long time to read all 15 novels, but hey, that's what, bedtime is for. Bedtime reading. So we'll have this really cool front cover there and stuff. And then the other one that I have here, I've been on the hunt for this one for a while, and I'm glad I finally found it. Even though the front cover is a little bit messed up, but that's fine. But we have book number 7. We've got A Crown of Swords, because the only one I ever saw this was that newer one. Like, I think it's like a goldish front cover or something like that. But I'm just glad I actually own the original artwork finally. So all I need to get now is, of course, Eye of the World and The Great Hunt, and I will have all of them through with the original artwork. So there we go. So speaking of stuff, so here we are. Now I can finally learn how to play, right? So what game am I talking about? Well, it's been around for, over 40 years now. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I had no idea that this was the game that they were playing in E.T. Yeah. So I went to the mom and pop store one day, and I saw that they had several books of this. I'm like, are you serious? Somebody brought those in? They're like, yeah. I'm like, huh. So literally for about $5 a piece, definitely worth it, considering the fact that these things normally cost roughly about $50 or more, just in a game store. Of course, I'm talking about a legendary role-playing game of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, so here we have the player handbook, and I kid you not, look at that, see? Right there. $5. So yeah, now I can finally learn how to play. Yeah, I've got family who really enjoy themselves with this, and I've always wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, and because I love fantasy and all that stuff, and I just never really feel like I have the time to actually sit down and play it and whatnot, just due to work being constantly crazy and all that. But shall I say, thank you so much for the creators of Stranger Things for getting, Dungeons and Dragons back into the, main pop stream here. And then we have here the Dungeon Master's Guide. Yeah, how cool is this? Like I said, I've never actually played any of these, so it'll be fun to actually learn how to play this for the first time. I'm sure it will take me quite an undertaking, but once I finally understand how to do it, then so how cool is that? They had several of these, by the way, and I grabbed all of them. So then the next one we've got here is Volo's Guide to Monsters. Cool. How awesome is this? I love this artwork. This is so cool. I can't believe it. $5 for all of these. That's a steal. And then we've got here Monsters of the Multiverse. Yeah. I hope that they get more of these in, because definitely worth the $5 a piece, especially when they are, 50-some bucks a piece to, just by themselves. So yeah, how awesome is that? Now I have no idea what order these go in, so for all of you who are, D&D, enthusiasts, please comment down below. We've got here Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Yeah, how cool is that? Looks like Dracula, but I know it's not Dracula. But, there we go. Looks pretty fun. So there we go. How awesome is that? Cool. have to look at all the awesome artwork and pictures here in a little bit. And then finally, the last one that they had here is that they have Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I believe that's how that is pronounced. If I'm wrong, well, I'll learn at some point. So, yeah. How cool is that? This is awesome. Giant eyeball looking at a fish. Yeah. Looks awesome. Cool. And then, so, if any of you who have been to an Ollie's, I highly recommend checking it out because, I mean, that mine was a little bit messed up, but that's okay. I'm glad to actually own them. We've got some pretty cool stuff. And mind you, these $3. Oh yeah. We've got here the Terran campaign case. I kid you not. Look at that right there. $3. If you can find this, grab it. I know I did. This is totally cool. And then they also had the Creatures campaign case. Also, $3. Yeah, how cool is that? Well, that does it for me for now, guys. Awesome, fun fantasy stuff. So with that, like, subscribe, and that notification button. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. See ya.